Welcome back into ASEAN Interview. Now we take you to take a look at Myanmar to see what authorities are doing now to try and convince Rohingya to return to accept ID cards.
แต่ละค่ะในอาเซียนอินเทอร์วิวในสัปดาห์นี้นะคะจะไปดูความคืบหน้าของสถานการณ์โรฮิงญากับเมียนมานั่นเองนะคะซึ่งทางการของเมียนมาก็ได้เรียกร้องให้ชาวโรฮิงญากลับประเทศแล้วมารับบัตรประชาชนนั่นเองค่ะ
Myanmar officials visited camps for Rohingya Muslim refugees in Bangladesh on Wednesday, October 31st, in efforts to kickstart a process to repatriate hundreds of thousands who fled an army crackdown last year. More than 700,000 Rohingya refugees crossed into Bangladesh from western Myanmar, according to UN agencies, after Rohingya insurgent attacks on Myanmar security forces in August 2017 triggered a sweeping military response. Officials said after meetings in Dhaka on Tuesday, returns would begin next month. But the UN refugee agencies said conditions in Rakhine State were not yet conducive for returns. Permanent Secretary at Myanmar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and leader of the Myanmar delegation, Min Tu, said Myanmar had verified about 5,000 names of refugees and that repatriation would begin with a first batch of 2,000 returnees in mid-November.
Yesterday, we had a joint working group meeting in Dhaka, and then Myanmar and Bangladesh agreed to commence the first group of repatriation in mid-November next month. And we are here to meet with the people from the camps so that I can explain what we have prepared for their return, and then I can listen their voices. So they asked me about some issues, and then I responded to them. For instance, the NVC, freedom of movement, education, health, and then their nationality status. So I have responded to them. So in order for us to better understand each other, so this is the best opportunity to come and listen to their voices. So we will work with the Bangladesh government to repatriate the verified people from back to Myanmar. So we have plans for their return, and then we have the reception centers and transit centers, as well as we will provide them necessary assistance upon their return. So we have received 8032 people. So from out of 8032, we have already verified about 5,000. So from that 5,000, the first batch will be about 2,000 people, and then second batch will follow the same. So mid-November, we will receive the first batch. Thank you.
Rohingya people said after Wednesday's meeting that they're unconvinced about the proposed repatriation, as they want Myanmar to recognize them as an ethnic group with a right to Myanmar citizenship before they return.
But we don't believe the Myanmar government because they are saying one thing and doing another thing. Every time, every day, every seconds, they're lying. So we don't believe the Myanmar government will need the international protection. And also another thing is they are lying about our ethnicity. They call us at Bengali, but we don't Bengali, never. Before independence, we live in the Myanmar. We have every kind of document. And also Myanmar government recognized us as the Rohingya ethnic. But at that time, Myanmar government denying that. If Myanmar government do not restore us as the Rohingya ethnicity, we don't go back in our original homeland.
Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya.
The UN Refugee Agency said on Wednesday that conditions in Rakhine State were not conducive for a safe, dignified and voluntary return for Rohingya refugees, stressing that such repatriations must be voluntary. Bangladesh and Myanmar agreed on Tuesday to begin by November the repatriation of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims who fled to Bangladesh to escape an army crackdown. Necessary safeguards are absent in the region, where access is limited amid continuing restrictions for media and other independent observers. This comes from the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, spokesman Andrek Mahisic.
We still face restrictions in terms of access for the aid agencies, for the media, for other independent observers, and at the same time there are still a number of Rohingya refugees who are arriving into Bangladesh. Since January this year alone, another 14,000 have crossed the border and have entered Bangladesh. The conditions on the ground right now are not conducive for the safe, dignified and voluntary return of refugees. We basically have advised that the returns should not be rushed or premature. We would advise against setting any timetable or any target number for the repatriation. It is very important to understand that the repatriation needs to be a free and voluntary choice of refugees, that they need to decide that themselves based on knowledge and information about the conditions in the areas, in the countries of origin and in the areas of the return. The village assessments have started a while ago, and right now we have completed the second set of villages that have been approved by the government of Myanmar. Broadly, our findings do not differ from what we have already established in the first set of villages that we have visited in the course of September. There is a prevalent sentiment of fear and mistrust. Due to that, there is lack of contact, lack of interaction among the communities.
He added that UNHCR has completed the second phase of assessment in northern Rakhine State, but its access remains limited. Rohingya and other Muslims in the 3 townships suffer hardship and economic vulnerability because of restrictions on their movement, and the prevailing sentiment is fear and mistrust. Rohingya are still crossing the border into Bangladesh now, with nearly 14,000 arriving this year, according to the UNHCR. The head of the UN's World Food Programme, David Beasley, said Wednesday there were extreme conditions about the return of Rohingya Muslims from their camps in Cox's Bazar to Rakhine State in Myanmar, where they escaped the army crackdown. Bangladesh and Myanmar agreed on Tuesday to begin by November the repatriation of the Rohingya Muslims who fled to Bangladesh, though doubts about a speedy return are likely to persist. Beasley visited the Kutupalong camps on Tuesday and spoke to families about the prospect of returning.
But I can say very clearly from the people that I've talked to inside the camps that I think many do want to go back when it's safe. Will that day ever come? I don't know. I know if I were in their shoes, I'd have some extreme concerns about going back. And we heard that from people all over the camp. Be back in Bangladesh, a country that's really remarkably stepped up to the occasion to help. There's some people who don't want to go back under any circumstances. But these are decisions that each individual will be having to make based upon the information that's available. Thank you all very much.
More than 700,000 Rohingya refugees crossed from the west of mostly Buddhist Myanmar into Bangladesh from August last year after Rohingya insurgent attacks on the Myanmar security forces triggered a sweeping military response. Leaders of the largely stateless Rohingya community have said they will not return without various demands being met, including the right to Myanmar citizenship.
And that was the ASEAN interview for this week and wraps up our program. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next week. As for now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ